What's going on, everybody? It's Colton coming at you with another little solo podcast on the chalkboard. Illinois is pretty hot right now. Everywhere's kind of shutting down, so I'm kind of chillaxed. I'm not having a lot of people at the house. But like always, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, stay notified every time I'm dropping a new video. Got another little one for you. Going to be talking about... really what I want to talk about is the midnight climax operation. That all comes in with MKULTRA, L.S.D testing back in the day with the CIA. There's a real good book to check out if you guys ever actually were interested in something like that called the Chaos Book. It was wrote by Tom O'Neill. Took him like 20 years to write. He did a lot of research. He did a lot of background checks, and he makes sure that you understand that when you're reading it, and he shows you how to connect all the dots, basically. Basically what that book is doing, it's bringing MKULTRA, Manson, L.S.D, stuff like that. It's bringing it all together, tying it all in, showing you how that all kind of comes together and intermingles with each other. The strangest part to me about that book, which I haven't finished yet, so it's really good. I haven't finished it. I'm working on it, but we're still going to talk about it right now. I've listened to a lot of MKULTRA stuff, so I kind of already have heard some of the stuff in this thing through podcasts, through like Joe Rogan and shit like that. But what it's talking about is how Manson was in and out of jail, really. He would go into jail. They didn't really know what to do with him, per se, and then he would come back out. And his therapist at the time was actually his psychologist at the time was actually one of the leading psychologists in the MKULTRA program. I'm pretty sure the MKULTRA program ran for like 20 years before it was actually officially shut down when it was brought out. It's something you can actually look up. It's very interesting to look up. It's based off L.S.D. When L.S.D. was first coming out, it was created or synthesized by Albert Hofmann. When something like that comes up, for national security purposes, they wanted to do a lot of testing. Now, a lot of that testing was on unknowing candidates. A lot of them through jail, like Manson, and a lot of them through these brothel things, which I'm going to talk about when I get to Midnight Climax. But the connections with Manson and MKULTRA it's a very translucent connection, is the way he puts it in the book. There's no direct boom right here. This is him. This is MKULTRA. They're working together. But there's a lot of ties that tie him in with MKULTRA. Like one that I said was like his psychologist, who was working with MKULTRA and working with Manson. He actually went up to Seattle with Manson. I think it was Seattle. I could be wrong on that city. It was a big city on the coast. Yeah, Seattle. Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today, which I found it really interesting on how people would even want to sit and watch this. But the Operation Midnight Climax, basically that was the CIA back in the late 40s, 50s, and early 60s. They put together these brothels, and in these brothels, what they would do is they would bring in Johns, everyday guys, everyday human beings, and they would unknowingly drug them up with LSD. They would get the woman that are working at the brothel to drug the guys, and then they would watch these people as they and see how they acted, basically studying them as they did their intercourse with the females, and then afterwards talking with them and just seeing how they acted. White, his name, George White. He worked a lot in the Seattle one, and he was known for sitting behind the glass, actually drinking a martini. He would watch them do intercourse, and then that's when he would tell the woman right after intercourse is the best time to start getting them to talk. Get them to talk about their family, work, stuff like that, while they're on this drug, so we can study it a little bit more and see how it's actually affecting the mind when they're on it. Because back in these times, you're looking at Cold War era. You're looking at Russians. Russians were doing a lot with brainwashing, a lot. And we had, there was nukes aimed at everybody. There was all this crazy shit going on. So America was, of course, doing their own thing. MKULTRA was something that actually did get brought out and shut down. And Midnight Climax is something that's totally real. You can look it up and look into it. One of the best things, if you are interested in looking into it, one of the best things is the transcripts from the CIA at the end, right before it was shut down. They talk about basically a whole bunch of MKULTRA and what it was about. That's something that if you're interested in, go ahead and take a look at. The part of drugging guys up with LSD and putting them into a brothel and letting them have a good time unknowingly, because when you put it that way, I'll put money down for that movie, whatever. But it's very bad. It's not something that anybody should have to go through, because you don't know what it's actually doing. You don't know what they're doing to the people. That's why they're not releasing it to the public. That's why they're not asking for people to come in and, volunteer openly almost. In the case of people like Manson, and there's other cases out there. Don't just look at one case, and that's what that chaos. That's when you start looking at it, you'll start seeing all these other things, and you kind of got to look at everything together as a whole, because it's something that was so big, especially with the wars and all that, and it's so crazy because it's so invasive on human rights. Almost. Personally, in my opinion, it invades human rights. You're unwillingly drugging people and studying them like rats in a cage at some brothel, using these women, saying, "Oh, listen, we won't take you out of jail if you all do this, and we'll give you cash payouts." And of course those women, they were probably making great money drugging those guys, and knowing that some dudes are sitting behind this glass mirror, this double-sided whatever that thing is, that just sitting there in a chair watching, studying, and recording it. And to think that other people just watch it, just like everyday John folks going in there and just having sex with these, you would essentially think of them as hookers, like a prostitute. So it's someone you would go and pay for pay for sex. It's a prostitute. It's a whorehouse. So at the end of the day, the CIA was investing our money into whorehouses to test LSD. Some guy named Albert Hoffman invented, which is great. LSD as a whole, especially through like the 60s and the 70s, had a big inspiration on like rock and roll and all that. And, you got Jimi Hendrix and all these other people. And, it's something that definitely broadens the mind. If you haven't ever looked into LSD or mind-altering drugs, just look into like studies that have been done by them. Mushrooms are actually legal in a couple states to help with depression, because they alter the mind in a healthy way. And mushrooms, in my opinion, are much more of a healthy thing. It's not synthesized. It's not created in a lab. It's something that actually literally grows on cow shit. The underside of cow shit is one place mushroom grows. And not in this area, I don't think, but that's one place it grows. And then you can grow it, in a lab. But it's just fungus. You're just growing like natural fungus. You're not growing anything that necessarily would be made in a lab. It was technically made in Mother Nature, and you're just using lab materials to make the process go a little bit smoother in your closet or whatever. So in that sense, yeah, it is a little bit more natural, and in that saying, it's probably a little bit better for you. Probably a lot bit better than you for something that's made in a lab. I really don't, I'm not even a big pill guy personally, so, because then your body becomes dependent on something like that, and you don't want that to happen. So, but that's just so crazy how... And it's crazy to see how many people don't even know about stuff like that. That's legit. That has happened. It's a legit thing. Operation Midnight Climax. Look it up. You see a whole bunch of shit on it. Other than that, though, like always, if you're enjoying the content, like it. What I do want you to do is go ahead and comment down below. Let me know if there's anything you guys find interesting, anything you want me to do a little bit of research on, talk about. That's totally fine with me. I'm going to try and be producing probably one video a day just coming out. These solo podcasts, I know they're not much. I'm still going to have a couple guys coming this Monday to do a podcast, which that's probably going to be German Jeff. I got to plan it out with them. And then I do have a podcast I've been editing. It was over the weekend. We got, I will say it, we got a little drunk. We got a lot of drunk, okay? We drank a lot. Me, Jeff, Mitch, Tyler, TJ. It was 6 people podcast. 6 fucking people. Yeah, I gotta edit that out. I gotta edit a lot because I know one thing. Jeff showed his ass. Jeff, you know what? I'm not even going to say. You might have heard me just say it right there, but I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to leave it as a surprise because it's definitely still in the video. It's blurred, and you won't see a whole thing. But it's going to be there. And like always, if you haven't told someone you love them, make sure you do. And stay true to yourself, guys, and have a good day, good evening, and good night.